been bitterly cold, of course, over the last couple of days. It's a little bit less cold now than it was, but that's just nitpicking. It's only in the 20s, and it's, in fact, just in the teens now, from Worcester to Orange. You know, one of the ingredients, usually, before a classic northeast snowstorm is to get cold air firmly entrenched, and that's certainly what has happened in the last couple of days, as we've had the constant feed of cold air coming out of eastern Canada and northern New England, and that's still going to supply the cold air. So the other ingredient, of course, is the moisture. And we've been following a storm that's been coming out of the Gulf of Mexico, gaining strength and lots of moisture and ready to bump into the cold air. Here you can see on the satellite imagery, this is a large circulation. Now, there's always been talk, is this going to be a little too far out to sea to have a major impact on us? It's still a tough call, but it's starting to come into focus better because there's a far enough western extent to this whole structure that even as it moves this way, we are certainly going to be involved in it. Now, I'm following radar carefully. That's snow in western North Carolina moving into Virginia. It'll start in the nation's capital in a couple of hours, and it's going to continue to move northward. The battle is that the cold, dry air would like to block this from moving northward, but this is also very strong. The longer it takes to get here, actually, the more the block eases a little bit and ironically actually allows it to go a little bit farther north. So here's an idea of what I'm expecting. Snow begins overnight in Washington. It begins early tomorrow in Philadelphia, tomorrow afternoon in New York City, and then tomorrow night after dark, from south to north, it gradually builds into our area. So during the daylight hours of tomorrow, you'll be able to do your Christmas and holiday shopping. You shouldn't have a problem. The height of the storm will actually be late tomorrow night, and the first part of Sunday, that's when it'll be snowing the hardest and windiest right along the coast, and then it should be tapering off from west to east midday and Sunday afternoon. Now, I want to give you an idea now of the updated snowfall totals that I'm expecting. I do think that really the moderate to heavy band will probably get as far north as at least Hartford, Connecticut, Worcester on the border, into Boston, and maybe including Cape Ann, especially near the coast. From there south, the potential exists for 8 to 12 inches of snow, perhaps some isolated higher amounts. In addition to that, along the coast, there's going to be strengthening winds, so there's the potential for some blowing and drifting. Around Chatham, down to Nantucket, it's possible in the first part of the storm with temperatures a little milder, a little rain may mix in, or the snow may be wetter, so it may not accumulate quite as readily, so the amounts could be slightly less. But basically, I think it's going to be a wide swath. When you get into the 495 belt, it'll begin to taper down 4 to 8 inches, and I'm expecting near the Mass-New Hampshire border about 2 to 4 inches of snow. And I would say north of Concord, New Hampshire, it doesn't snow out of this. So it's a really southern, coastal, southeastern New England snowstorm. Now, I also wanted to go over some of the watches and warnings that are in place with this. There is actually a blizzard watch in effect along the coast south of Boston, particularly Plymouth County, Cape Cod, the south coast of New England. Now, what that means is during the height of the storm, late tomorrow night and very early Sunday, visibility could go down to a quarter mile or less. Winds could be 35 miles per hour or greater, and that's likely to last for at least 3 straight hours. That's blizzard conditions. Much of the rest of the area from Boston westward and southward has the winter storm watch in effect, and the winter storm warnings already affect southern Connecticut and New York. Long Island also has a blizzard watch in effect. So those are some of the things, and of course we'll develop more as we go along. Let's check the details now. The forecast taking you through your entire weekend and all the way up to Christmas. Tonight, clear and very cold, down to 0 to 15 by morning. Tomorrow there'll be some filtered sun early. Otherwise, look for the clouds to thicken, dry through the daylight hours, but from south to north, the snow gradually overspreads the region during tomorrow night as winds pick up. And we'll check out the next 5 days. The height of the storm is late tomorrow night and into Sunday morning. Then it gradually winds down. Monday is dry, still cold through this period. Tuesday, maybe a few flurries, no big deal there. Wednesday and Thursday, which is Christmas Eve, both look dry. There looks to be another possible storm of snow, rain, or a mix along about Christmas Day itself. But first, we have to deal with this storm, and I'm continuing to look at late information. You can find that on the BostonChannel.com as well, and you can get interactive radar there, too. So we'll see you with more at 5:30. Bob?
All right, thanks, Harvey. A lot of great information.
We are close to signing one of the most important treaties in the history of this country.
Someone is trying to make sure that this peace agreement does not happen.
This man is a once-in-a-lifetime leader.
What have you done?
We're under attack.
We are cold red.
You put us on a danger.
Get out!
24. A new day begins this January on Fox.
Now at 10.
time, the very latest on the storm that's coming right at us off of the ocean. It's prompted blizzard warnings for part of the area.
And holiday travelers having headaches over at Logan. The impending snow canceling many flights.
A devastating fire at a South Boston church just days before Christmas.
And Democrats secure their 60 votes, paving the way for major health care reforms. Fox 25 News at 10 starts right now.
This is Fox 25 News at 10.
And we're on the storm watch tonight. This is a live look at New York City where the snow is already falling.
We're also live in Bourne, the Cape, one of the places where the snow is falling first. It's just starting to come down right now, and they are expected to get a lot of it.
We've got team coverage tonight of the storm. Kevin and AJ are tracking the storm as it moves this way, and Allison Bologna, Adam Pellerin are in the thick of it out there waiting for the snow tonight. Good evening, everybody. I'm Frank Malley.
And I'm Sarah Underwood. Let's get right to Chief Meteorologist Kevin Lemanowitz with the latest on its path. Kevin?
And guys, it's taking some time to materialize, but first let's go over the warnings. Down here, South Coast, South Shore, out to Cape Cod and the islands, a blizzard warning. Interior southern New England, a winter storm warning. Well off to the north and west, including southern New Hampshire, a winter weather advisory, and this corresponds to mostly the biggest areas of snow. The snow has been trying to move in all night long, and look at radar. For hours, it looks like it's been snowing. If you were to look at the radar, you'd say, man, it's snowing hard out there. But in reality, the air has been so dry that it's just now starting to snow on Cape Cod, the South Coast, and moving northward through Providence, Rhode Island. And here's the problem. While temperatures are cold enough inland for snow, marginal out there in the Cape, the dew points, a measure of how dry the air is, have been really low, just coming up to zero now in Worcester, been below zero all day long. This storm has been going up and down the East Coast for the last couple of days. A.J. Burnett has more on that.
That's right, Kevin. Yeah, we've been watching the storm kind of materializing down to the south and then riding up the eastern seaboard. Right now, the storm looks like it's over the top of us, but as you mentioned, it's just having a hard time doing anything north of, let's say, Cape Cod and up through the Route 44 corridor. But we have had lots of snow out toward the New York City metropolitan area. Let me talk a little bit about some of the storm's history. We've had 13 inches of snow produced at Washington, D.C. Now, that's a record for any December storm. You have to go back to December 12th of 1964 for the last record, which was 10.5 or 10.6 inches of snow that occurred. So a record event down in Washington, D.C. Philadelphia has seen 16 inches of snow, and we're adding to those totals at present. The old record, 21 inches, set back 100 years ago. We've also got some major problems around the New York City metropolitan area where heavy snow has been falling. We've had heavy snow around JFK Airport and visibility's down to a quarter mile. Sounds like a blizzard out there, but not quite because the winds have not been above 35 miles per hour. The storm produced as much as 24 inches of snow in portions of Virginia out through the mountainous terrain, and along the coastline, some areas picking up nearly 6 inches of rainfall. This storm had two very different sides. It's about to clobber us with a whole lot of wind and snow over the next couple of hours, and it's causing some major problems at Logan Airport, not because it's snowing necessarily right now, but because of all the snow that we saw through the New York City metropolitan area down through Philadelphia and Washington, D.C. For more on what's going on at Logan Airport and all the delays right now, we go to Adam Pellerin, who's live in Boston. Adam, take it away.
Well, AJ, we're starting to feel a little bit of that wind, and it's certainly cold, but as you mentioned, it's not snowing here at Logan Airport yet, but as you guys have been talking about, it is inevitable, and that's why Massport has planned accordingly, scaling back flights for tonight and for tomorrow. Now, this is the time of the year where a lot of people travel, of course, going home for the holidays, so of course, as you can imagine, people trying to get out of town, trying to beat this storm, but as you can imagine as well, there were a fair share of headaches.